Why, hello there, gentlemen. It's Mr. Steal Your Bitch. I have no idea why I just did that, and well, what can I say? I am who I am. That's more like it. So ladies and gentlemen, how are you doing today? Today I'm going to be going over one of January's surprisingly good films. January is known as the month where movies go to die. And luckily, this movie that I'm about to talk about isn't bad. And what movie is that? It's none other than the third and final Maze Runner movie called The Death Cure. And ladies and gentlemen, let me give you some background. I think the first two are okay. I like the first one a little bit more than I do the second, but I think they're okay. The first one had some very decent action scenes, very suspenseful, the characters were pretty interesting, and overall I'd say it's like a solid 6 or 6.5 out of 10. The Scorch Trials wasn't very dramatic or anything like that, it just was mainly a whole lot of mindless action scenes, but with the final act that paid off, I'd give it about a 5.5 or 6. It was just okay. But ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about The Death Cure. And so, beforehand, spoiler warning for the first two movies in this series because I need to kind of get into those movies in order to explain this one. So, let's get into it. So, Maze Runner The Death Cure is about our main characters all being led by this man named Thomas. And well, he's the main character from the first two movies. And after what happened in the second movie with one of their friends who is taken by the big villain, the big organization that is the villain of this series. This movie revolves around trying to get him back while dealing with the resistance that they're a part of and trying to take down the organization that is trying to kidnap them for their blood because of the fact they are immune to this disease which can cure other people. And, you know what, the plot itself, though a little complicated, the complication is good, because this is the third movie in a series, and you know what? I like the story. The story is original, it's very new. Obviously, it's based off of a book, but from what I got from my friends that I went to go see it with, is that this movie follows the book to a T, word for word. That's what he said. You know who you are. And what can I say? This story, I really like it. It's original, it's creative, it allows for a lot of character development, a lot of suspense, and it felt overall very good. But not only is the story really good, let's talk about the action that drives most of the story. And the action is very well shot. The action scenes are never look too edited. They're not something like Batman Begins, they're not something like Alex Cross type bad. There's no shaky cam, all of the camera work is smooth, and it's edited very well, and we can understand what's going on. And the action is very suspenseful and very adrenaline-inducing. And the characters behind it, we are invested in them, so therefore the action is even better because of the fact we're wondering, oh my god, is this character going to be able to get out alive? And with a very great opening, and then with a great last act, this movie was pretty much a fun ride through and through with the action. But as I said in the action part is that, well, the characters behind are what drives the action, because the characters are what keeps us invested. And well, luckily, most of the performances, actually no, all of the performances in this movie work. They are very emotional when they need to be. They can be serious and listen, but they also can get dramatic and have their emotions. They can portray tears, and their performances are really good, and I liked most of the acting, and I liked most of the characters. Though a couple of them I don't like simply because of the fact of what they've done in previous movies. Some of them are kind of redeemed here, but whatever. That's just because of the fact the characters are bad, but the performances are good. I do have one complaint, though, and this is kind of how it works with adapting a book or trying to have all the exposition come in during the middle. And what happens is the middle hour of this movie is actually pretty slow. The pacing takes an extreme halt after a very intense and very fast-paced opening, and it basically grinds to a halt where the hours literally go by like where you think an hour has gone by, when in reality 25 minutes have only gone by. That's what happened with me. And though the pacing was slow, that doesn't mean I was uninterested. I just didn't like the fact that it was going slow after such a great opening that was incredibly fast-paced. But luckily the third act picked it up and got really fast-paced and really emotional again. And so we left on a high note. So, with a great story, good performances, good action, but a little bit of a pacing issue, I say The Maze Runner, The Death Cure is probably the best in the series. Though the critics aren't agreeing and they're giving it the worst ratings out of the series. In my opinion, it was the best. I thought it was the most fun. I thought it was the most character-driven. They had a well balance on drama and action, whereas with The Scorched Trials, it was more focused on action. And though The Maze Runner had some action, you can tell it was more about the characters and the drama of the situation that they were in. But luckily, this movie found a balance and we got a pretty good finale. I'm going to give The Maze Runner, The Death Cure a 8 out of 10. Alright, so well, there we go. We just went over the movie The Maze Runner, The Death Cure, and what can I say? It was a good finale to a 3-part movie series, and I'm happy that they didn't split this up into 2 movies like what they did with Hunger Games, what they did with Twilight, and all the other movies that are continuously doing it. And, well, I'm happy to say that, and I'm happy that I saw this movie. This movie was really good. So, on that note, I hope you guys have a great day, evening, night, whatever the heck time you're watching this, and I will see you next time.